Hey everyone, it's Justin from LitTube. This week I wanted to talk to you about shows that I watch on Netflix, perhaps give you some new ideas if you're looking for new shows to watch. I know a lot of people watch things on Netflix now, whether it be movies or shows or whatever. So I'm going to give you some ideas here. Recently I started watching The Walking Dead. Now, that's a very popular show from AMC, and it's one of those shows that I'm sure you've heard of by now. I don't know if you've watched it or not. I put off watching it because there were times where I saw bits and pieces of episodes before I had really started watching the series, and kind of turned me off of it a little bit because what I saw seemed a little dumb, and but I was just watching things out of context and didn't really understand what was going on totally. So I gave it a chance. Late October, I started watching it and was in the mood for watching something zombie like. All the zombie movies on Netflix didn't seem that appealing, so I put on The Walking Dead and watched episode one. And I have to say, I've really gotten into it now. I'm now actually starting on the third season, and it's getting really good. It's getting really interesting. Definitely, once it gets in past the first couple seasons, it starts getting even more interesting with the things that are going on, in my opinion. So that's definitely one to put on your watch list, especially if you like horror movies, if you like zombie stuff. It's a must watch. The other thing is, sticking with AMC, Breaking Bad. I'm sure many of you have heard of this show or have watched the whole series already, but for those of you that haven't watched any of it, it's a must watch. This is possibly the best series that you're going to be able to find on Netflix. And now the entire series is done, so you can go through and binge watch all the seasons if you want to. I mean, they're all there. There's nothing else to wait to come out. They also did a spin-off series called Better Call Saul. Well, it's a spin-off of Breaking Bad. It focuses on the lawyer character that's in that show. So that's another one to check out as well, but I wouldn't watch that until after you've already watched Breaking Bad. And that one, I think they only have the first season on Netflix right now, so I'm waiting for the second season to come out for that one. And then moving to some other shows, I would check out, if you're more into comedy, you want to watch Trailer Park Boys. That's a good show. It's more of like stupid comedy, though. It's just one of those things. It's like it will go for cheap laughs, just like, using bad language, immature type of humor, but for the most part. But it is kind of funny, and it's like a low budget comedy show, and it takes place in Canada, and it's, the main setting is a trailer park. But it's a really interesting show, and after watching a lot of it, I've started thinking like, hey, this show makes it look like living in a trailer park's not that bad. It would actually be kind of fun. But again, it is a fictional comedy show, so of course they can make things seem more interesting than they really are. But that's one to check out if you like comedy. And then another one I've watched recently, they only have the first season on Netflix right now, but Stranger Things, that's another good one to watch if you're into horror, you're into thriller, suspense kind of shows and movies. I would watch that one. It's a little sci-fi in it too. It's like a sci-fi horror kind of. And that's one you're definitely going to want to watch if you're into that kind of stuff. It's not really like R-rated, or anything. It's not like that intense, but it's still kind of scary and an interesting watch. So you might want to try the first couple episodes of that, see if you get into it. Another show I'd recommend that you watch on Netflix, particularly if you're interested in shows such as Game of Thrones, or you're a history buff, you just like the sword and axe kind of fighting, you want to look into The Last Kingdom. This is a show where the setting is England during the, I guess, early 1200s, 1300s, around that time period. You got the Saxons, which are like the native Englanders, fighting the Danes, which are kind of like similar to the Vikings. This is a very interesting show. It focuses on a guy that grows up as a Dane, even though he was born a Saxon. He lives his very young childhood as a Saxon, then he basically gets well, not adopted, but like taken away by the Danes, and then they raise him. Then he ends up coming back to England. It's really interesting. And then, so the main character, his name is Uhtred, son of Uhtred, and he's basically trying to find a way to take back his rightful heir to some kind of throne in England. Like there was some kind of land that was promised to him, and he didn't get it because he was taken away, and now he's coming back trying to regain his dominance in the region or something like that. I mean, I'm not doing the best job of explaining the story, but it's a really interesting watch, and it's from BBC, so it's like a British show. But I mean, this is a great show, and they only have the first season out on Netflix right now. I don't know when they're coming out with the second season. Probably not for another like year from now, for all I know. But this is definitely a show you want to watch if you like Game of Thrones, if you like history, if you like olden times melee sword and axe fighting and type of stuff. Then you're gonna love that show. For those of you that are into shows that are based on a true story, you'll want to check out Narcos. Narcos is a crime show, so kind of like an action drama, and it focuses on Pablo Escobar, a famous drug lord from Colombia. The setting for the show is late 1970s to early 1990s, and really just focuses on how the United States got involved with the war on drugs, how they went after Pablo Escobar in Colombia, because his own government was his own government was not so great at dealing with criminals, especially big-time drug lord criminals, so they have to basically bring in help from the United States to try and catch this guy and lock him up or whatever. But I suspect that the show may continue beyond the 2 seasons that are out on Netflix right now, because they kind of hinted at maybe extending the show, talking more about what happens after Pablo Escobar and the other Colombian drug cartels. So it's going to be really interesting, and it is based on real life events. I mean, like everything else, it's based on a true story. There's some dramatization, but it is pretty accurate as to what really happened in real life. And for those of you people that want to see something that's not fictional, something that's actually happened, this is a show you're going to want to watch. So that's all the shows I can really think about right now off the top of my head that I've been watching recently or really liked and must recommend to you. I mean, there's others as well, other comedies, Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I believe all the seasons are out on Netflix, or the vast majority of them. Archer, another great comedy animated show to watch. And there's others, but those are some ideas if you're looking for things to watch on Netflix. Like if you want to get into a series, I would check out those options. And I'll keep you updated if I find anything else that is really interesting and worth a watch. So thanks for tuning in this week to Face2Face, and stay subscribed and check out our other videos.